The 2001 Mercedes-Benz C200 Kompressor. This is the W203 body, the third generation Mercedes-Benz C-Class. So this being a compressor means that it has a supercharger in it. So the car is still very nice all around. You got nice rims, and those rims look scratch-free. Those are quite rare for a car this old. If you open up the C-Class, you just have this key. It has a rubber cover on it. That door sounds really good. Okay, so when you enter here, the first thing you'll notice here is that it has no power seat switches, none in the front either. That's because they're at the doors. Those look so nice. You even have three-way memory seats, which is quite weird. Nowadays, we just press the button here, just twist it. So you can even move your headrest, and even move the steering column. Yeah, but you need to have the car open. Check if the door sounds good. Of course it sounds good. Another Mercedes, even though it's a bit older. So since you don't have any push start or anything like that, just insert this, turn, don't hold it, you just click it once and it fires right up. So we have 74,604 kilometers, which is not bad for a car of this age. To turn on the AC, just press this, fan up, goes up, dual zone climate control. Now the owner actually had this replaced. That's supposed to be like an analog style thing, but you have this Android base head unit, which usually I don't enjoy. I like it stock, but this one's actually done pretty well. So over here you got the multifunction steering wheel. You have your light switches. You can move your side mirrors, and this one washes your headlamps. It's pretty cool. You got your power window switches here. They're power up and down for all four, which is nice. And you got pretty good visibility on this car. So up here you got a nice sunroof. The sunroof is actually fully working. It's pretty big for a car this size. Got your standard dome lights, your sunroof switches. This one is actually automatic, which is pretty cool. My W204 isn't even automatic. Over here at the center, you got a cubby over here. There, that's actually quite deep. And of course, this is the Avantgarde line. Over here, you got more cubbies in there. You can put some coins in there. And over here, what's cool about this, you have this button on the right. It opens up just the top. But if you press this one, this entire thing comes up with it. It's pretty cool. But there's nothing inside. No ports, no air vents. It's just very basic. The glove box is actually quite huge. You got a 6-disc CD changer in there. Then you still have the original leather pouch for the owner's manual. One thing you can do with this car is if you have the AC on and all that and you're driving, the very moment you park, you turn off the car, you can actually press this button. It's called EC Rest. So if you press rest, the AC system will actually still work using residual energy. It has residual refrigerant and all that. Keeps you cool for around 30 minutes. But don't worry about your battery dying, because if the battery senses that it's about to die, it'll turn off by itself. Just turn it off, just press rest again. Over here at the back, the C200 is very basic. There's really not much here. Got a headrest that folds down there. All three of those fold down. You can actually fold that down using the switches there in the center. Then over here is set to my driving position, and I must say the legroom is quite comparable to my 204. It's just a bit, tiny bit shorter than that, and yet this car overall length outside is actually way shorter. The center hump is quite tall, but I must say also that you can actually fit 3 people in here way better than the 204. So something that Mercedes Magic did, and it's pretty cool. Your dash, it looks kind of dated, but I wouldn't say that it looks classic or extremely old. It's still a pretty good looking dash even today. The trunk space on this car is actually quite big, and this being an older car means it's still the era before all those donut tires came in, and you got a full-size spare tire in here, although this looks pretty old, so I don't suggest using it. You got a warning triangle as well. So if you close this, you just use this recess right here to close it, and it slams down like that. First thing you'll notice, of course, is the beautiful hood star that we have here, which guides you as you go. Old Mercedes have that, new ones unfortunately don't. So the way you pull this, you lift this up a little, that thing goes out, and you just pull here and then raise the entire grille. So under the hood, you have a supercharged M11 engine. This produces around 160 to 170 horsepower, somewhere along those lines. And this car is quite punchy for a car this size. Of course, you can't really compare it to a more modern Mercedes or even the W204. I'll talk about that in my driving portion later. First thing you'll notice with this car is just how different it feels from its successor, the W204. So when you're turning, it has an even better turning radius than the 204. It's very small. But the next thing you want to check with this car and how different it is the ride. Now, you'll notice that in the W204 video that I made, I commented on how quiet that car is, but it rides a bit firm, and it's actually quite comparable to its non-premium counterparts like the Altis or the Civic. But this one, probably because it also has 16-inch rims, which is around 2 inches smaller in diameter than that 204, this one rides just way better. Speed bumps, they're more comfortable, potholes, they're better. But this car doesn't have the same quietness as the 204. In the city, if you're into twisty roads, this is more fun to drive. It reminds me of like a BMW 3 Series. The steering is a bit on the heavier side and there's a lot of feedback. But in the highway, if you're traveling highway speeds, I think you'd enjoy the W204 more. It's just a much better cruiser than that car. So when you're driving this car, you'll also notice that the brakes are very unlike most Euros. So if you're used to driving Japanese cars, this would be no surprise to you, but it's just a very spongy brake. So first you step at it and it feels hard, then you step at it more. That's the only time that it's gonna bite. And you have to press even further for it to actually fully bite. It's just a very weird system. It's not like modern cars or modern Euros. So here, we're just going to floor the car and it's kind of underwhelming. I wouldn't say it's slow, but it still can't compete with way modern cars. Now, in the non-premium segment, with just around 2-liter engine, you can probably get a better acceleration than that. But for a car this size and for the era that it was made, this car is not slow at all. When you turn this car, it's a bit sharper than modern Mercedes. Okay, turn right here. It's way sharper than modern Mercedes, so it's actually quite comparable to slightly older BMWs where they still use hydraulic steering. And Mercedes probably made this car to compete with the 3 Series before. I borrowed this car from my friend Zeke over here. And Zeke, what can you say about this car? You've driven an S202, you have a 124. How can you compare this car to those older C-classes and E-classes?
Well, I'd say it's a lot quicker.
It's a lot quicker.
Yeah, but in terms of comfort, I'd still prefer the 124.
The 124?
Yeah.
Doesn't that have a suspension that's a bit, on the old side? It's floaty, but is it comfortable?
I'd say on highway speeds, I'd prefer the 124 because it absorbs the bumps so well.
But in the highway, doesn't it get floaty? Especially if you're traveling 100, 120.
Not as much. I'd say with the diesels, it's a lot heavier. So.
Oh yeah, because you have the diesel version of 124. That's quite rare in the Philippines. This guy has a lot of Mercs. And if you got any Merc questions, ask this guy. You have a YouTube channel?
No, I don't.
I'd say I'll link it to your... Hey, so if we compare this again to the car that supersedes this car is just made for a completely different buyer in mind. So when they made this, they wanted it to compete with the 3 Series, they wanted it to be sporty, and that really shows with the way this car drives. When you're making turns in the city, the W203 actually performs better than the 204. Its turning radius seems to be a bit smaller, you can make U-turns way easier, and it's just easier to turn, it's more nimble. Sure, the steering wheel is a bit heavier, but overall it's just a very nimble car. You can throw it around in corners. Anything turning related, and this car excels. So in straight line, the W204 definitely takes a crown. But here, if you're in a slightly twistier road, if it's not exactly straight, you want to change lanes faster, you want to make U-turns in the city, this is way better. This turning radius is way smaller than the